Yeah. Hola mi gente, ¿cómo estás? How y'all doing? How y'all living? How are you guys doing today? Hey Wolf. It's Wednesday. It is my damn day off. Thank God. It has been the longest week ever at work. I've been so exhausted. Also, I've been on my period, and so it's been a week for me, and I've had a lot of emotions going on this week because there's just a lot of things going on for me. A friend of mine is leaving, and at this point I shouldn't be surprised, as many people from the military that have left since I've met them. I have met, this will be the 5th person that I've met that's left in this little short time that I've been meeting people. So he leaves in a couple of days, and I'm a little bummed. I've been getting in and out of emotions over it because we have such a cool ass friendship going on, and it's gonna be, I guess we'll just see what happens and see what, if anything develops from it or whatever. But it was just really cool having somebody that actually understands me and cares to understand my emotions, even if it was on a friendship basis. It was just really cool to have this person around. But I know we're still gonna talk and blah blah blah, but it just made me a little sad. Oh, it's been making me sad, and then being on my period, which I hate blaming my period, but obviously I just can't get around that it affects my emotions, along with blaming retrograde for things. But honestly, throughout the start of this retrograde, I had more problems going on in pre-shadow than I have since the start of it. I mean, albeit it just started like 4 days ago, but honestly I've been feeling okay. I've had a little like anxiety here and there, but nothing like too weird going on, so I feel good. I want to give a shout out to Anna. Her birthday was yesterday, so happy birthday to Anna, and I hope you had a wonderful day. I wish I was there to force you to take shots and all that shit, but I'm trying to get my days up, baby girl, so that's what I'm on right now. I was honestly about to take the day off yesterday, but I just didn't, so I'm glad I didn't. I made it through the day and another day down. So what I wanted to talk to you guys today is about body counts, because I've had some very interesting conversations with people that I have been meeting that ask you like the body count number. Now for me personally, I've never really asked anybody how many people they've slept with, but it's apparently a big deal to men how many people women have slept with, and they'll be like, how many people have you slept with in my lifetime? Now obviously my number is pretty low, because I did start having sex early in life, 14 years old, but I had sex with that person, and then it was my ex, and then I did have some infidelity in the relationship, and I had a couple people within the relationship, but I already spoke to my ex about it, so nothing that he didn't already know. And it was retaliation fucks or whatever, and then whatever happened. So my body count is probably not like somebody that's had more time to be single and be out there, or had more freedom with their body. Now there's people that are more reserved with their bodies, and they're more, like, don't give themselves away to everyone, and that's perfectly fine. And there's people who are very sex positive like myself that don't really care about things such as numbers. It's just how well you take care of yourself. So with women, we've always had to kind of accept whatever number that they had, because we, boys will be boys and all that shit, and like they'll be out there doing their thing, and I guess it's maybe like, what, I don't know if I'm the only woman that doesn't inquire, or do women inquire about like how many people you slept with. I just feel like everyone has a past, and I don't know where it figures into my life. And then when I hear like guys, because a guy will be like, oh yeah, I had X amount of partners, and then I'm like, you fuck, like you just lost your virginity. Like, how is that possible that you've had this many partners and you still don't know what you're doing? So all it would do is make me question the people that they were fucking with before, and how they were letting them be fucked before. If they like kind of like suck, and then they have a high body count, that means they're just in Pound Town and then out of there. So me asking body count doesn't really matter. I probably wouldn't want to know more how many serious relationships somebody's had and why those relationships ended, and with honesty, because you know everybody comes with the ex is crazy bullshit, but you know what I mean, like why did they really end? Those are probably more of my questions. But as women, I do think that we just have to accept whatever number comes out of a man's mouth, and you're just like, wow. I mean, some people are just like, do you really count how many people you slept with? Because I mean, for me it's kind of like, do I count this, do I count that, does it count, like what makes it fully count, like, you know what I mean? So I think I would care more about relationship count than body count. And so, but for men, there's so many things that they just want, and so they don't want you to have a body count that's high. However, they want you to be super duper experienced without the high body count. So you want a woman that's a super freak, whatever the fuck that is to men, because when I've talked to men and their freakiness, it is nowhere near the things that I'm expecting to hear at all. So I'm like, their freakiness, I guess, is fellatio, because I don't really hear anything that has to do with like BDSM or anything of that nature, like edging or anything that's like, you know what I mean, anal play for men or like anything like that. I don't hear any of that shit. I just hear mostly about oral sex, which I feel is pretty ordinary sex, if you ask me. It's not something that's like mind-blowing, but I guess maybe it is because not a lot of women enjoy oral sex, or they don't want to do oral sex, or whatever the case may be about sex. I don't know what it is, but are you allowed to say this on YouTube? I don't know. This is not for children, so anyways, so when it comes to freakiness or whatever, they want the woman to be fully experienced but be a virgin but have all the knowledge already. Also, they want your mouth to be a virgin, but they want you to already know how to do all the things that you need to do without ever placing another man's junk in your mouth. So it's very interesting what men expect of women when it comes to sexuality. They want to be the first at everything, but they want you to already be fully loaded. So I remember a distinct conversation with a guy probably like 3 months ago. He asked me, I don't know how we got on oral sex, to be honest with you, but he asked me about it and when's the last time it happened, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. And so I'm telling him all these things, letting him know all these things, and he is like, I honestly don't like the thought of another man's, you know, in your mouth, or you know what I mean, like in my woman's mouth. And I'm like, that's interesting. And I'm like, so you've never licked another woman's, you know, I don't know what YouTube wants me to say in place of this, because I want to say snick and dussy. But I was like, so you've never had your mouth on another woman's genital region? And he's like, well, yeah. And I'm like, so if somebody goes into a relationship with you, they have to accept the fact that you have had other women's genital regions in your mouth. However, when it comes to a woman, you felt very differently about it when a woman said that they had their mouth in another in a different man's genital region. So I found that very interesting, because there were all these expectations without the fact that they just want you to be a Virgin Mary, and you know. Well, what if you don't know what you're doing the first time and you're a biter? Personally, I would have to say that I'm a bit of a nibbler anyways, like, you know. And then there's like the whole technique that you have to learn, and then you have to adjust for size, because not everybody is the same. So you can have a guy that is ginormous, and that's like the two-hand effort and the mouth. There's the little guys where you don't have to really do much. There's a really decent perfect size, and they're like perfect. You don't, it's not overpowering, you don't die, you know, if it touches your uvula or anything. Like, you're just, it's just perfect. Okay, perfect size, perfect girth, perfect everything, and you don't feel like you're gonna die, like it's taking up every little piece of you. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. The point is, I feel like there's an unrealistic expectation placed on women when it comes to sexuality, because we are expected to have all the knowledge that experience takes sexually while not having the experience. And I think that is absolutely, as a sex positive person, absolutely ridiculous to expect a woman to have all the knowledge without experience. Because how would you become good at a job without experience? How would you become good at anything without experiencing it first? So is it fair that men expect women to have a low body count but a high experience, like have all the knowledge of sex? Sex takes time and experience, and even with a high body count, not everybody responds the same sexually. So you're going to be able to please one woman a certain way, but another woman may not respond the same, and vice versa for men. Let me go, my dog's crying. Well, vice versa for men. Like, you know, what might work for one man doesn't work for the next man. Like I mentioned in previous videos, I'm pretty rough, and some people are not really rough. So it might work for somebody else to be choked the hell out, and then the next person's like, I'm not really into that. Well, I'm not really into you. But anyways, yeah, not everybody's into it. And some guy, you know, after you do whatever you do with their genital region, doesn't mind you spitting it on their face, and the next person is like, that's disgusting. So you just don't know what you get when it comes to that. So even having a very high body count doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be able to please somebody. That just means you've had sex with a lot of people. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have the art down of pleasing a woman or a man. It just means that you've had a lot of sex, and who knows if it's quality over quantity. So, but yeah, it was just interesting to me, just from the talks and body count and how men view it. And they're like, well, why would I want somebody that has such little value for their body? And I wouldn't say that a woman with a high body count feels that way. I would say that a woman with a high body count just may enjoy sex just like a man. Contrary to what men think, women can have very high sex drives as well. I'm a woman that has a very high sex drive. So when it came to my ex and myself, I was always like kind of learned that men were supposed to be the initiators of sex. However, I was a little more of the initiator at times, and then times I wasn't. It just depends on the mood. But the point is, I have a high sex drive. So like, okay, you know what I mean? That we can have high sex drives too. We can need to be pleased too. It's just taught to us that men are the ones that are the aggressors when it comes to sex. They're the ones that have the higher sex drive, and that's not necessarily true. So women can be aggressors when it comes to sex. We can want it too. We can ask for it too. We can be like, yo, come over here and let's do this thing too. And some men might find that like sexy, but some men might find it as a masculine trait and a turnoff. So you just never know. But yes, as women, we're allowed to have high sex drives as well. We're allowed to want lots of sex as well. We're allowed to have sexual experiences as well. Like, all those things are perfectly fine for women to feel as well. And I don't feel like any woman should be judged because their body count isn't at virgin status when they meet them every man. And if sex and body count is something that bothers you, I really think you should reflect on yourself, because those are very unrealistic expectations that are placed on women, because we have already so many expectations. You have to be the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the chef, the clean, like the maid. You have to go to work. You have to come home and look good and still want sex, and all kinds of things are placed on us, and it's like a very hard expectation to live up to, whereas men don't have as many expectations placed on them all the time. It's up to us as women or as partners, because whoever it is, man, you know, whatever type of relationship you're in, I do believe every relationship, no matter what it is, does have a masculine and feminine energy, whether or not they are male and female. But I do feel like every relationship does need that balance of those types of energies, whether those energies are whether those energies are of the opposing sex or not. I just think that the energies have to be opposing. But just to create balance, you know. I don't remember where I left off, but I guess I'm gonna end the video here because I don't remember where I left off.